Hey everyone. I just wanted to go over a super quick gearing and crafting tip that I think is insanely useful. This is related to the newer equipment scoring system, as you can see right here. For reference, the main stat when reforged is giving about 26 equipment scores. The actual raw value of stats is whatever number you see here, subtracted by 26, so 74 in this case for the substat value. Now this number is incredibly important because it tells you how well your piece of gear has actually rolled, so you can easily understand whether you should keep upgrading pieces of gear or whether you should reforge them. And you can look at a piece of gear at +3, +6, +9, +12 and understand at a glance if it's actually going to be good, if it has some potential. Most stats such as 7% health, for instance, or in this case like 5% attack, so that equals 5 equipment score. This effectiveness is 33 equipment score, this defense is 18 equipment score, health is 18 equipment score. Pretty simple, right? But some stats such as speed is doubled, so 2 speed would be worth 4 equipment score. Crit is around a 1.5, 1.6 multiplier, so if you had 8 crit, it would be like 12 to about 13 equipment score approximately. And crit damage is multiplied by about 1.1, so if you have 10 crit damage, it's about 11. I think it's like 1.1 something something, but regardless. And then flat stats are kind of a pain because on some characters they carry a lot more weight than others. So for instance, a character like Violet with flat defense, it's actually incredibly valuable, but some others it's not as good. So I normally ignore the flat stat roll's equipment score value when calculating my item's value because it can fluctuate based on the character, so I usually add it on as a bonus basically on top at the very end. What matters though is understanding the potential of the item, and if it's at +12, like this item right here, and has an equipment score of 69, its actual raw stat score is 51 for the substat values when you add that all up, plus 18 equipment score just from the main stat of this health roll right here. And then in the last 3 levels, when we get it to +15, and then actually the reforge on top of that, it'll obtain about 8 more equipment score just from the main stat. So you have to factor that in. But what matters is it's easier to see this gear and instantly understand how strong it is compared to other pieces of gear, and if you should upgrade it. Its score will go to 77 simply from +15ing and reforging it. You know, it gets about 8 more right there. But also at +15, it's going to get another substat roll, and that could go anywhere from 4 to 8. And then the reforge on top of that, upgrading all the stats, can add generally around 13 score on top of that. This piece in the best scenario will hit around 97 to maybe 98 score at best, which is pretty solid, but let's just make sure. So I'm going to max this out. Let's see what we get here. So almost maxed here. One more of these. Okay, well, we got the lowest possible roll. So that is incredibly unfortunate, but I'm just going to reforge it just so that you can actually see all of the stats get upgraded here. I reforge it, and we're up to 93 score. So we rolled the lowest possible thing, but it could have gone 4 higher, and we could have actually gone to 97 score, which would have been a really, really solid item. Instead, it's like okay, but it's really nothing special for me at the moment. For me personally, I like to use swords and chests and helms that are around 94 and above equipment score, but even then, that's a little on the lower end for some of my best units. But for necks, rings, and boots, anywhere from 88 and above, I'm always down to use because I have a lot of bad right side gear. My gear is not the best. But of course, you know, if it rolls all into speed, then you kind of throw the equipment score out the window, and that doesn't really matter because speed is such an important stat. The system also makes it just so much easier to understand the gearing in general, such as you see an equipment score of 100 and you instantly know, oh, this is a really solid piece of gear. Or you see a +9 piece with 60 score and you go, oh, this could end in the middle of the 90s. I could get like maybe like 95 equipment score with this thing. It has a lot of potential. The moment this system released, I realized I had a ton of gear just laying around that I'd partially upgraded but was unsure if I should continue, that actually had a ton of potential, and I upgraded and I have a ton more pieces now that were just laying around this whole time. One final thing though, is remember you can also mod gem a stat to a higher value. So maybe your gear is able to hit an even higher number if you swap an undesirable stat. Like you might look at equipment score and you're like, that's not that high, but you have like 4% effectiveness on it and you don't really want that on it anyway. So you're like, okay, well maybe at the end I can swap it to up to 9. So that's going to be 5 extra equipment score just on top. That could actually be really good. Anyways, I hope that this helped. As always, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to leave a like or subscribe to the channel, and I hope to see you next time.